Hi guys, it's Sheena. Welcome back to my channel Luna Rosu. Today I have a traveler's notebook. This is one of the latest journals that I have completed, and this one is in a well, it started out with a Cleopatra theme in mind, which is a very focused one, but I realized that I couldn't find a lot of Cleopatra, so I'm just going to say this is a Egyptian theme. There's just hints and bits of pieces here and there, and it is from a point of view of this girl who is following her father's footsteps, and she is also going up to become an archaeologist, so which is the angle that I'm sort of aiming at when I had in mind when I started creating this journal. So let's get started. So the journal is mainly purple and gold theme. Sorry, excuse me. And it looks like this. It's has a lot of fabric in here, a lot of sari fabric in here, just because I just wanted that really vintage look, like so. And it also comes with this gorgeous pendant here, which is a peacock. I love it because the colors I think really brings out the journal. It really complements the greens and the reds, very ruby-ish color. So that I'll just put that there. And then once you open her up, she's just bound together by string right here. And on the front there is, as usual, an envelope right there, and then we have this gorgeous fabric here. Like I said, it's initially meant to be just purple and gold, but I really needed a sort of a complementary color so that the purples and the gold stand out. So I chose green, hence you'll see lots of it in the journal. So the cover is like so, and then when you open it, there's this gorgeous sort of a tapestry kind of color here. It's not really showing up on the camera, I don't know why, but it's more purple in person, and I've just gone slightly around the edges here with some gold acrylics, and then on the bottom as well. On this side you'll see an aeroplane, of course, because she's sort of an archaeologist, so she's traveling here and there. There's a vintage ticket in here as well, some stamps, and then once you open her up, this is the lady. When I saw her in my collection of postcards, I thought she was so perfect. She is not too girly, but she has that sort of female Indiana Jones kind of look. I don't know, maybe it's the hat and everything, the color, the background, her look. She just looks stunning. I absolutely love her. On this side, you'll see this Cleopatra little sign here, again, because initially it was meant to be only strictly Cleopatra themed, but that has evolved. I did a lot of collaging on the inside cover. These are sort of collage from envelopes that I have in my collection. It's from Egypt to Jerusalem, I think. So I thought that was really nice addition to have. This is where she was born, and the reason why she is so sort of drawn to Egypt, because she was born in this hospital. She was born in Egypt, and then she has also kept pictures of her parents in this little what do you call this, vellum envelope, sorry. So that's there. So just little snippets of her life in here as well. I wanted to give the journal a bit of character, just apart from just the Egyptian theme. And then you see this gorgeous sort of trim here, sort of to mimic the sun. On the inside, this is a pocket right there. With this part here, the florals here, again, I did a bit of a metallic painting here. You see the gold on this flower, and then also the purples and the magentas on the inner corners of the flowers. Just wanted something a bit more extravagant with the journal. Yeah, so some leisure paper. This is a picture of Alexandria, the Alexandria Library, where Cleopatra she studied there when she was young. I think there was another name for it, the museums. I know it's called the museum or something. And Alexandrian Library is just part of it, so I decided to include that here. This is a pocket right there, and then you have a key charm right up here. A lot of purple sari fabric here and some golds here as well. Lots of journaling spaces in this journal. A pocket on the top here as well. Here you'll have snippets of the Ramesseum. Again, she loves going to these excavation sites. So there's just a lot of pictures of all these ancient landmarks, ancient wonders, sorry. And then of course you have a bit of a Cleopatra sort of newsprint right here. This is about the film. Again, she's really drawn to Cleopatra, which is why you'll see bits and pieces of that in the journal as well. This is from an encyclopedia page. Surprisingly, I don't have the whole set, so I had, I think, from D to F. So lucky me, I had this sort of printout of Egypt in there, so I was very lucky to have that. So this is the only copy I have, so I just decided to include that in here. Fabric tabs for days. This is a flower as well. This is actually meant to be purple, but my printer somehow managed to make it a bit blue, but I love how dark it is, so it's a bit of a contrast to the page. Absolutely stunning. Some vintage railroad paper right there. This is a double pocket on the inside here, and also there's a transparency pocket on the front there as well. Here we have a vintage receipt, which I made it into a part of a page, so that flips out like so. I did a lot of grungy kind of effects in this journal, and also I've included here a vintage calling card, again with the purple and the green flowers, just to make sure everything just sort of fits in with the theme. Another ledger page, and then this is I think this is Tim Holtz right here. This is a printout of a ruler. I thought that would be something that she would have in her notebook. This is, I think, I'm not sure which paper pack this came from. And then I just made this into a pocket, again with fabric tabs. You have a bookmark here that you can journal on the back of that. We have a printout of a map here. This is an ancient world map, a Mediterranean one. So this is printed on one of the papers that I have in my Etsy store, where the ones that I used to print out ephemeras because the paper weight is really thin. And then I also made a little mini booklet here again, just so the owner would have more sort of spaces to journal quick notes in there. So we have some purple flowers. This is that statue of, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Ptolemy, which is Cleopatra's, there were a few, I think, of those, Ptolemy, but this is one is the tower of it, and then we've just got some tapestries in here, some excavation sites, more purple flowers, and then that's Cleopatra with Anthony there. Some fabric tabs here. This is also a Cleopatra-esque ephemera that I made. This is sort of a vellum envelope. This is actually made from transparency paper. I printed out, grunged it up, used cellophane tape just to make it sort of look grungy and old. Some vintage tickets to go with your ephemera. And then on the inside of this, we have this gorgeous fabric here. Initially, it was meant to be a whole section right there, but I figured it kind of looked nice just to have that little tiny bit here, like so. And the fabric on this one is kind of really grungy, so it gives off that really vintage look, so you could journal around it. And then we have some vintage wallpaper here again with the green, just to go with the theme of that. And then let's see, on this side we also have another painting of Cleopatra. I don't know the artist, I don't remember the artist that painted her. And then you have some gorgeous trims here as well. A vintage postcard with a floral, with a rose, sorry, just to sort of make this page very feminine, because in the painting here she looks very feminine. I love it. The background is also very sort of a light wash of purple. And then we also have some fabric collaging on the top. Here we have another Cleopatra and Egyptian kind of pictures. So we have the sort of the, I think, the scarab beetle right there, and then we also have some hieroglyphs, and then I think this is some specimens as well, so you could journal on the back of that. And we also have Cleopatra again right there on one of her voyages right there, very grand one. So we have some gorgeous tab here as well. Another charm, I said I wanted to do more of these, so that's there. This is a vintage receipt, that's the centerfold, more joining spaces, fabric tabs, another pocket that I collage, again with the ship. It's again very travel-esque. And then we have a real Western Union telegram here that I included right there. Some fabric tabs here and here as well. Here we have a button card with some, of course, gold thread to go with the theme. Some vintage receipts here, and then this is some pattern paper. You can journal on the back of that. Again, just to add a bit of contrast and color to the page. And then we have Cleopatra again on this side. This one I added some purple metallic paint and gold, and then also this is, I think, an old vintage greeting card, but I love how grungy the section is, so you could journal around here as well if you wanted to. And then more fabric tabs here, the other side of that receipt. A bit of a fabric collaging here. When you open this up, this is made from an old receipt. Just some gold acrylic again on the bottom. Here are some vintage check or receipts in here. I've just tucked that in there. A huge fabric pocket. I just love the fabric on this one. The purple and the pinks really go well, magenta, sorry, go very well together. Inside I've included a vintage, a real handwritten love letter, and then also a vintage postcard right there. The other side of that dictionary page, this is a whole page full of ruffles. Very pretty. I absolutely love this. I forgot that I had this. I was digging through my fabric collection and I finally found it. And then finally on the last page we have a pocket right here. Again, very Egyptian oriented right there. Oh, sorry. Is it focusing now? Yeah. And then I also found this card in my stash, so I thought that would be kind of cool to include there. Very exotic. And then some purple flowers here to make the pocket. I actually wanted to include the Egyptian national flower, but I couldn't find a picture that I thought was the perfect illustration to go. I think when you're choosing images to go into a journal, this sort of style of illustration is also crucial in, you know, to go with the theme and whatnot. So I didn't want to include the ones that I found, so I just included a normal purple flower right there. I think it's the lotus, which is the national flower. And here we have a Cleopatra as well. This is the death scene of her. This is by the asp, which is the snake bite. She committed suicide after she found out Mark Antony committed suicide as well. And then we have some vintage pattern paper here that you could journal on the back of that. Finally, on the back, more collaging. This is a pocket as well, and then I've included a vintage letter here. This is a French one, and then it has the original letter on the inside as well. And then that is the back. So that is just a really quick flip through of this Egyptian themed journal. The theme actually for this one, if anyone wants to create a Cleopatra themed journal, maybe this is an idea you could execute where I couldn't. I actually initially wanted to do a traveler's notebook with sort of 3 parts of her life, which is the front, how she grew up, where she grew up, her parents, which is why I included the Alexandria Library here, because I wanted to showcase, initially I wanted to showcase this section as, you know, her childhood, where she grew up, and then you could include Greek ephemera as well, because she was Greek. And then maybe bits and pieces of her father as well. And then in the middle, the center, towards the center, I wanted to include more of her contribution to Egypt in terms of economics and things like that, and you know how the country was, the people were so adored. They adored her a lot because she was the only, you know, Greek ruler that actually took the time to learn the Egyptian language. And then I also wanted to include about her love life with her love Mark Antony, and also, you know, Julius Caesar in the middle, the center section of the journal. You could, you know, go in depth and maybe go through stories about her, Shakespeare and things like that if you wanted to, and you could include, you know, snippets of that, because I couldn't find a lot of images to portray that. So if you wanted to do that part of her life, you could probably go through writings and poems or plays that were written about, you know, I know there are about Mark Antony and Cleopatra as well, the tragedy, so you could include that in there. And then towards the end, the end of the journal, I initially again wanted to do about her death, her demise, and things like that. So this is why I included this part here of her suicide at the end of the journal. But if you wanted to go really in depth, you could go, you know, research, because some has said that it wasn't the snake bite that killed her, that she actually took, you know, a sort of a vial of poison, a concoction. You could go in depth with that. Could maybe do about the fall of her reign. So just a few ideas if you really wanted to go really thorough with her history and create a full-on journal theme dedicated to her. And also, if you could find a lot of images for her, that would be really, really awesome. That would be great. I couldn't find a lot about her childhood as well. But then again, I didn't really, you know, go full on with it, because that would take quite a while. But if you're a really dedicated fan of Cleopatra, you could go in depth. That would be how I would go around it if I had, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 months just to create this masterpiece. But yeah, so thank you guys for staying with me throughout this flip through and staying towards the end on this little idea tip that I have if you were to create a journal completely on her. So I hope you guys have a really good, great weekend. Stay safe, everyone, and I will see you in my next video.